John Wick Chapter 4. John Wick Chapter 4 follows Mr. Wick as he's now being hunted by all the top killers. The High Table are after him. They want to put an end to John Wick once and for all. John has to work with who he can and what he can in order to stay alive with everyone out to get him. I've seen the other John Wick films one time each around the time of their release, so my memory was a bit shot coming into this in terms of where we are and what had happened prior. I know I really enjoyed the first film. I know 2 and 3 didn't do loads for me in terms of story, but I still enjoyed the action. And one thing with the John Wick franchise is even if the story is lacking, you are still gonna get absolutely spoilt in terms of the action. But I gotta say, John Wick 4 had both. It had story and it had action. I was glued to the screen from start to finish, pretty much. I was just so drawn in. You really can't take your eyes away because it's so much fun what's happening on screen, and you're also invested because of the story. This is a long old film. It's about 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I'll be honest, at times this film did feel a little bit long to me, but not loads. It didn't really feel like it overstepped that much, maybe like 10 minutes in my opinion. But what they filled the screen time here with was excellent. There are fight sequences here that seem to last half an hour, and maybe it just feels like they're longer than they are, but whenever it seems the fight is over, it carries on. There is always another enemy. There is always another guy in the back who's now ready to start pounding on John Wick because all his buddies have died. You know, it's just relentless. It just goes on and on and on. I cannot imagine how hard this film was to make. The choreography is just off the charts. You've got lots of long camera takes, so it tries not to really cut away all that much. And just the way they just film these combat sequences is honestly insane. Keanu absolutely kills it, as he always does, and I'm pretty sure he has like 20 to 30 words said in this entire movie. Like, he doesn't really say much in this movie, but he's not here to speak. He's here to fucking kick ass. And it wasn't just Keanu. Everyone in this film absolutely killed it. There are just so many cool characters in this film. It reminds me of a video game layout, really, where you have all these boss fights. Every character just feels like a boss fight, and they're all so distinct. You know, maybe it's the color of the suit they're wearing, or whether they're like some huge guy or like some slender guy, you know, whoever it is, it just felt very like, oh, here's a new big boss. You know, you can tell when a new boss fight has entered the arena here in this film, and it was just so entertaining to see because you're just thinking, how the hell is John Wick going to take down this guy? Out of all the characters in this film, though, the standout for me was Donnie Yen. He plays a blind assassin who's kind of forced to come out of retirement in order to do some work here. And obviously it's weird because Donnie Yen also played a blind Jedi in Rogue One, and he was badass in that movie. And again, he was badass here. He has a cane, and it's kind of doubles up as a sword, so he's just kicking ass even though he can't see a damn thing. And he's also got all these cool like gizmos and traps in order to like work to his ability of fighting, you know, with his sort of increased sense of hearing, because obviously there's nothing visually going on for him. I like how they managed to get a blind character in this film absolutely just tearing shit up, whilst also having, for me at least, the most compelling downtime in terms of like his story, his motivations, his reasons for doing the things he does in this film. He's actually a very interesting character who's caught in a bit of a dilemma, a bit of a complex about what he needs to do and who he's doing it for. I could honestly list everyone in this movie though as just being a great character. You've also got Bill Skarsgård playing sort of the top villain that's coming for John, and you know, he just wears these really like fancy suits and he just comes across as a badass, but you can kind of feel the pressure that's on him because he's trying to get to John. You know, he's trying to complete his mission and he's trying to get other people to do it for him. So it was very, very cool, you know, how it's kind of starting from Skarsgård and then you've got all these just crazy assassins trying to get to John. But yeah, all characters new and old killed it. And as I was saying with the screen time, the balance was very good because, as I said, you get like these really long fight sequences that just span from room to room, building to building, you know, from a street to a car. You know, it's just like all this crazy shit going on. But then they balance it out by sliding in like these bits of downtime in between these action heavy moments, whether it be like 10, 15, 20 minutes where you just get some characters converse. You see, it's like you're taking a breather from all the action because it feels almost exhausting to watch, and you take this breather, you see where the characters are at, you see what the next move is, you see where they're heading next, and you know, they go to so many cool locations. You know, you're in Tokyo, you're in Berlin, you're in Paris, you're in New York, you're everywhere. I gotta say, this is honestly one of the most badass, fun spectacular movies I've ever seen. The story isn't like the most incredible plot-wise, but it doesn't really matter because that's not what this is about. You have your plot, it's solid, it's built on from what's happened in the like prior movies, but then they've just taken it up a notch because the story is actually better. It's really easy to get invested in, and then on top of that you have just these incredible characters, you know, John Wick and all the side characters partaking in this goose chase, partaking in these crazy fights and these amazing set pieces. This film was honestly an absolute treat. It feels like the sort of film where you should actually have to pay a little bit more because it just feels like you're really being treated with the quality of the film you've seen. You know, if cinema prices went like £15 a ticket anyway, but like say if this was like, if it was like the old days and it's like £5 a ticket, I feel like this would be worth like fucking £8, £10, you know. It just feels like you're getting extra. It feels like you're actually getting way more for your money from this film. You know, like the fact that this is the same price as Ant-Man, it's just, what? There's definitely potential to be a chapter 5 of how they end this. Nothing is certain, nothing is left definitive, so maybe they could carry on. Part of me is quite satisfied with how they've potentially ended this, but you know, there's already been talk that they're going to carry it on, and you know, another part of me kind of craves some more of this. I don't know if they could top this film because this chapter was just incredible. Honestly, it was such a treat. I don't think it's like a perfect movie, but it really was such a fun experience, and the more I've sat on it and thought about it, the more I think how good that film was. I would give John Wick Chapter 4 an 8.5 out of 10. This is a really great movie. Obviously, maybe 8.5 sounds like it's not high enough. I just think maybe the runtime and, you know, certain other elements weren't perfect of this film, but it is a hell of a damn good movie. It is the definition of an action movie. If you like action movies, if you like to be entertained, if you just like to watch incredible stuff take place on screen, this is a film you've got to see, and I think it's really worth seeing in the cinema. On the rewatchability rating, I would definitely rewatch this occasionally. I can definitely see myself going through the 4 John Wick movies on a little binge every few years. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.